Good morning, Allan.
Good morning.
What do they have to do differently um, to change their body versus the women in their 40s and 30s? Now this woman is 50. Um, the reason I ask is because many women believe that they cannot achieve that kind of body. They all think they are too old, can get back that tone. I know I am, one of the examples, but in general, what would you recommend to the ladies? Whether they will be able to change despite their are 50 and certain bodies are not the same as the people in their 30s and 40, right? They're people in the 40s have more muscles, so it's easy
Understood.
to do. Yes.
Understood. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And it's a good question. The easiest answer, and which is probably one of the most effective, is to remember that the older we get, the more we have to pay attention to what goes in our mouth. Case point, when you're young, when you're 15, 16, when you're 20, you can eat whatever the hell you want pretty much to some degree,
Right.
and just go work out, hit the gym,
Right.
and you'll look fit. Not always the case, but in many cases at that age range, it's very common, right? And so apologies for the sirens in the back. It's just a busy hour here in downtown Vancouver. That's number one. Number two, as we get older, the hormone structure in the body, the hormone output in the body starts to deplete. And please remember that hormones is the center core of transformation. That the more hormones you have running in your body, the more likely your body will change with training conditions. The lower the hormones in the body, the harder it is to make change in the body, specifically burning fat and building muscle. So, case in point, one of our clients, as you know, and for respect, we're not going to divulge any names or any personal information, but generally speaking, because this is common, she is 49 years old, right? And you know who I'm talking about, Helen. We've been working with her now for just about 2 months, and the first 2 months has been a struggle. The struggle has been that at 49 years old, her body responds heavily to certain kinds of foods, and it messes with her body's ability to burn fat. What we've discovered after 2 months of working with her, and it could have been 2-3 weeks, but we work on how quickly someone wants to change. So if someone wants to change fast, we move fast. If someone wants to move slowly, we move slow, right? As long as they're getting to progression, then we're good, right? So with her, she wanted to move a little slower, and that's fine. And what we discovered is that carbohydrates are extremely sensitive to her body. Like we're talking and I've joked about this, but she's a real case where all she has to do is have anything over about 50 grams of carbs a day, which is nothing for you and me, because we're all active, but our activity, 50 grams of carbs, you and I would still feel horrible at the end of the day. We'd feel sluggish and slow and lazy. We wouldn't have energy. So for us, that's nothing. For her, 50 grams of carbs makes her feel normal, but the active result is days after body fat accumulates. And that's not supposed to be the norm, and it's not. But in her case, that is her reality. So what have we discovered? We've discovered that putting her on a very low carbohydrate, like we're talking 20 to 30 grams a day, and then increasing the good fats that she consumes with a moderate amount of protein, in 3-4 days, she's already showing that her muscle has increased by 1%, that her body fat has decreased by about 1 to 2%, and her weight has already dropped 4 pounds. I'm saying these numbers because I woke up this morning, got in my car, drove to the office. As I was warming my car for 30 seconds, I opened my WhatsApp. Her message was at the top of the queue, and then there were her numbers. She showed us like how she normally shows us every Tuesday and Friday. And I'm like, wow, that's great. So what does that tell us? What that tells us, to answer your question, the older we get, if we want to get in shape, the more we have to pay attention to what our body needs nutritionally and what our body needs to avoid to stop the production or slow down the production of body fat and help increase the production of muscle. That's not too hard to find these days. If you're willing, if like not you, Helen, because you work with me, but for those of you watching, if you're willing to find out what are your sensitivities and what are your strengths to certain foods, that one thing alone, even if you don't work out, which I don't recommend, but even if you didn't work out, for those of you watching and you're trying to lose weight, I have had people in the past that have just watched what foods to eat and not eat. One of my guys, this time last year, right before COVID hit hard, I had spoken to him. I hadn't seen him in 6 months. He dropped 55 pounds within 3 months and kept it off. And I said, what the hell, man? And he said, I didn't even work out. And I'm like, I know you didn't work out. You haven't been training in any of my classes. Where you been? And he's like, oh, I've been working so much. I'm sorry, Allan. You know, I wasn't trying to get on him, but I was impressed. Like, how do you lose 50 pounds in what? It was fast, like 3-4 months. How do you do that without working out? And he had basically told me, he said, this is what I found out about my body. These are the foods that I have to avoid. This is the other foods I can eat a lot more of because I don't want to be hungry. And he wasn't. And he went from this to this. Like, he literally looked like a different guy. I was like, you don't even look the same. He's like, I know.
Yes, totally, Allan. I understand that. Understanding your needs and what your body have to do to get that result is important. I want to give you a really quick example what you just said, right? So because there's a basil plant that I always want in my house, but somehow it always die after a couple of days. But then my family moved it to another area in my room, and that basil plant survived months. The same thing as with our body, understanding what does it need that your body have to go through to get the results, right? So thank you.